Hi, I'm Colin from Sydney, Australia. I'm recording a testimonial for Andre Race, who took me on a fantastic cycling and kayaking adventure in Manaus in the Amazon Basin in November 2023. I was in Manaus to do an upriver jungle expedition, and as I ride a mountain bike at home, I decided it would be fun to add a 5-day cycling trip to my expedition while I was there. So as you do, I Googled looking for someone who could provide that experience for me. And straight away I came up with Andre as Igara Bike Tours, recommended on TripAdvisor. The rest is now history. I had a fantastic time with Andre. I was traveling by myself, which was my preference for flexibility. And from start to finish, he was always completely proactive, completely focused on providing me with the best experience he could. Before we even started the trip in Manaus, I'd already met Andre twice in person. Both times he'd cycled from his house to my hotel in the city, first of all to bring me the bike to show me that I was going to ride, make sure I was happy with it, make sure it fit properly. The second time was really just for us to get comfortable with each other, ask some more questions, do a bit of paperwork, and just really just become a bit more familiar with each other. So that was a really good starting point. We'd already had plenty of communication via WhatsApp and email in the 4 or 5 months up to the start of the trip. His English is as good as mine, and we just got on very well together. Being a tour of two could have been a little bit risky. I was 65 at the time. He's quite a bit younger than that. And with that age difference and potentially if personalities didn't gel, the tour like that could have been quite awkward. But it wasn't that at all. He's a very friendly, very open, very engaging person. And I think we already knew before I left Australia that we would get on pretty well. As I said, his English is fantastic. He communicates really well. We had a lot of laughs, and we talked about lots of things during our 5 days together. And of course, he's coming to Australia one day. One of the best things I found about Andre was his concern that I would get the best from my trip always. Initially, I'd asked for a 5-day cycling trip, which is what I thought would be a good idea, but he immediately suggested that we do some kayaking as well, because that would provide me with quite a much more interesting experience, and it really did. There are many waterfalls in the region, and obviously being on the river in kayaks made more of them much more accessible than would have been possible by bike. In the end, we didn't follow the original planned itinerary because at the time the Amazon was in drought and the river itself was at the lowest water level recordings that they'd ever recorded. So that meant some areas that he'd planned to take us were no longer accessible. However, he's a keen cyclist and knows the area really, really well. So he matched that knowledge and his personal experience with the area just to rebuild the trip as necessary so that we could still get to visit lots of different places, which we did. The trip was perfect for me. He couldn't have been any more helpful. For example, we went shopping for some gear that I hadn't bought. I met his family, including his newborn daughter, did a little bit of washing for me. And then as a bonus, on the day after we got back from our trip, he organised a tourist day around the city of Manaus for me, which he came with me for. So what I can tell you is that I don't think you could go wrong with Andre as a person and as a tour guide. We discussed my age right at the beginning of the trip, at the beginning of our conversation, sorry. And he always ensured that everything we did every day was within my scope. So really it was just a perfect experience. We visited lots of fantastic places and had an appropriate level of, physical activity for me, and visited all kinds of interesting things, met some people along the way. I've thanked Andre many times before, but this is just another chance to say it again, thank you. And I can 100% recommend him to you for a trip like that, and as a guide. I've sent him a video that of my trip that I use for family and friends. If you have it, I'd encourage you to watch it, because you can see the sorts of places and the things that we got up to, where we visited, and just make sure that you don't miss out. I think it's a fantastic way to travel around there if you like that sort of thing, and you can see for yourself. I hope you do get to go there. Thanks.